Welcome to another episode of Icon Presents, the podcast where we dive into the minds of great creatives in music, art, and entertainment. Today's guest is amazing and an electrifying singer whose genre-bending style of music is also known as pink metal. Ladies and gentlemen, with a passion for storytelling, music, and teaching, Icon Presents Shaynie Rhoads.
Across the room, moving as hard as I am. Eventually I find myself in front of you, smiling, you take me by the hand. Am I dreaming? I can't tell if this is real. You tell me, simply caught your eye. I wish I knew you, but we know I don't. You're that kid that looks like Oliver Sykes. The neon lights on us tonight, sparks in your eyes, now I'm mesmerized. The way you move and say just what I like, baby, you're dynamite. The neon lights on us tonight, sparks in your eyes, now I'm mesmerized. The way you move and say just what I like, baby, you're dynamite. Baby, you're dynamite. You keep telling me the things I want to hear, expecting I'll go with the flow. Over the music, these sweet things in my ear, we sway as one in the afterglow. Am I dreaming? I can't tell if this is real. Maybe it's all in my head. You realize I can't be swayed that easily, but someday you'll see me again. The neon lights on us tonight, sparks in your eyes, now I'm mesmerized. The way you move and say just what I like, baby, you're dynamite. The neon lights on us tonight, sparks in your eyes, now I'm mesmerized. The way you move and say just what I like, baby, you're dynamite. Baby, you're dynamite.
All right, welcome, Shaynie Rhoads. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's awesome to have you on the podcast today. That was an amazing song. That was your song Dynamite, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit. That's a new single that you just released, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give me a little bit of insight on that, because I just learned something when after when I looked up that song, I just learned something that I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Feels like we have an interesting story about that and the evolution of that song. But give me a little bit of insight on that.
Sure. So I released that song in 2018 as an electro-pop kind of rock hybrid.
Okay.
When I was an aspiring pop artist, I did it because I thought it was what I was supposed to for people to like me. And just over the years, I've realized I should just be myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I had this plan to re-release that song, I'd say at the beginning of this year.
Okay.
I had just released Future Ex-Boyfriend, and my producer and I wanted to release another single, and we thought, well, why don't we redo Dynamite? That song is still an integral part of my repertoire, but it just we needed to redo that song and make it more of my style.
Okay.
So we wanted it to align with my vision of pink metal, but what is pink metal? It didn't exist yet. So we redid it. We added guitar, bass, drums. I redid the vocals. We basically started from scratch, but I wanted to maintain the same energy and kind of core of that song, maintain the same story. And we released it a month ago, and I've been really happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I guess now I've heard 3 different versions of this song. I heard the, what do you call it, electropop, and then we just did the acoustic one, which that sounded great. The point where I thought that the acoustic one was the original one. And then you have the metal version of that. You feel like the pink metal version of that. And you feel like that represents who you are more authentically than the previous version, right?
Absolutely.
Got you.
Nailed it.
So give me a little bit of insight as to you as a musician and kind of your journey so far.
Sure. So, well, the acoustic version that you heard is actually the original one that I wrote.
Okay.
For the longest time, it was just my acoustic guitar and me. So when I was writing stuff, I kind of wrote it in that style and didn't really think about a band because I could only think of the melody and the harmony. So that's the version I performed forever when I was just a solo artist. And there is a bit of disconnect with how I was performing, and that single that you heard, the 2018 Dynamite, it was just really confusing. Nothing was aligning. So now finally, it's all coming together. And again, I call it pink metal because I think there's the side of me that's really into heavy metal and World of Warcraft and like fantasy lore and reading and things of that nature. Right. And then there's the other side of me that does love the color pink. It's actually not even my favorite color, but I do love pink and I love girly things and I love dressing up and the like. So combine those.
Yeah, so you have the edgy side and then you have the softer side and all that. It's somewhere in the middle, in the blend of all of that you reside.
Yeah.
I feel it. I think most people kind of have those different elements to it. It's like, for me personally, like I like metal. I like rock. I like country, gospel, soul, neo soul, hip hop, pop, pretty much anything. As you can tell probably by the podcast, I really don't discriminate when it comes to the various types of artists that come on the show, especially because I like music. And so since it's my podcast, I'm like, cool, I'm gonna listen to everything. I have a playlist on my phone that's just called a zone. And it just is every kind of music that I ever feel like doing. Because that's where most people like to land in. I feel like, at least that's my personal experience for it.
That's right.
So how would you say the your musical journey and everything kind of shaped you up to this point?
So I was a solo artist forever. And again, I did that out of necessity. I just didn't have the budget or the equipment or the right facility for a band. When I started performing, I was living up in the Bay Area and I was just totally broke. Okay. So I didn't have the means for a rehearsal space. I didn't have enough friends, I think, that were into the same genre as me. And again, I didn't even know what I wanted to do then. I knew I wanted a band, but I didn't know if it was going to be an electropop artist project sort of thing. So I was kind of all over the place, but I did know that I could sing and play guitar and that would be somewhat sustainable. Right. So I did that for, I'd say, 4 or 5 years, including when I moved back from the Bay Area to here. And then COVID happened and then no one was performing. And once venues started opening up again and hosting musicians, I just kind of went back to what I knew, which was playing guitar and singing. Gotcha. But then I realized that there was so much more I could be doing. And now I was meeting other musicians. I was in a place, both physically and mentally, where I could start thinking about having an actual band. And so my friend Eric and I, we decided to band together, no pun intended, and be an acoustic duo. Okay. So then I'd say probably 2022, we started gigging together. We would do like the happy hour gigs, coffee shops, breweries. For like 2 or 3 hours. We would do some of my originals, but a lot of covers. And we did a lot of pop and some rock. Gotcha. Because I picked that set list because I figured it would be attractive to the clientele. Right. It's easy to like. And then we decided that if we had a band, we could bring more energy. So then I got my friend Alan to play drums with us, and we got to rehearse at his studio, and that was really fun. Or I'm sorry, his house.
House, studio, sometimes the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Semantics. And then my friend Dylan on bass, and he's also my producer and my best friend. So he's played many roles within this narrative, but it was the four of us. We injected some rock and roll into my originals that I'd been playing for 4 or 5 years that were just kind of, to even say they were pop would give them a lot of credit because they were just lyrics, melody, and harmony. So they were open to, they were fair game.
Mm-hmm.
So I did know I wanted to be more rock and roll. So we added a bit of edge to those songs. We started adding like Rolling Stones, Chuck Berry. We did do a Harry Styles song, which didn't do as well as I'd hoped.
Okay.
But it was always fun. No one ever wanted to play it, which
yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Which one was it?
Adore You.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
But it was there was still a disconnect.
Yeah.
So
you got to find what was really you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got this idea. Well, I grew up playing heavy metal. I love heavy metal.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we start adding like some Metallica and Megadeth?
Nice.
And since then, to condense the story, I've had several different lineup changes.
Okay.
And then it slowly but surely turned into just a heavy metal band.
Yeah.
So, I love playing the Stones and Chuck Berry, of course. But then when we started playing more of the heavy metal stuff, there was kind of a disconnect between that and like the early rock and roll stuff.
Right. Because now your audience that you started to garner they know you for more your pop and rock stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you start to change things up. It's like, wait, hold on. Who's this?
Exactly. And people were noticing that I really lit up when I played the metal stuff.
Gotcha.
So that's really like the core of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided we're a heavy metal band.
Okay.
And so I condensed the set list to my originals. I took out some of the ones that were just too poppy, brought in a lot of the Metallica, the Megadeth, Diamond Head, and then we were a metal band.
Yeah.
So that's really me.
Mm-hmm.
That's really probably the most authentic version of me that I've presented as an artist.
Okay.
So now with my original music, again, I was doing the pop thing kind of out of necessity.
Yeah.
And I also love Britney Spears.
Okay.
So I did copy a lot of the stuff that I heard from her. She made a big impression on me when I started songwriting.
Gotcha. Did you do a metal version of like Toxic or something?
No, but I should.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that would actually
that's
be
been done 1,000 times though. I don't know.
I think so, actually. Yeah.
Find a different one. I heard did you see the Deadpool and Wolverine movie?
Not yet.
Dude, that movie's great. I don't want to spoil it. Never mind. I'm not going to say what I was about to say. The movie's great.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a ton of fun. But I'll say this. There's a sequence where they play the Bye 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 song, NSYNC, you know that bye bye bye, that song. But and it was hilarious because there's one influencer or comic creator, not really, I don't like the term influencer, but this YouTuber that I follow for a long time. He has a metal band, and they did a cover of Bye Bye Bye. And when that movie came out, they noticed that their cover started getting a lot more views and everything, just because that's in the movie. They played that. I was like, cool. He was like, yes, we did a cover almost a decade ago of Bye Bye Bye, and he put it back on Twitter. He was like, here, enjoy it.
There you go.
I was like, all right, cool. But no, I always love finding little covers of that. I feel like there's like I think metal song or metal versions of certain songs, I think do the best because a lot of times it's the one genre where it changes so many different feelings within the song. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, if you do like a country version of it or whatever, it's like, eh. But if you do a metal, you're like, oh my gosh, it kind of blows you away to the possibilities of it. Just so much fun. So you've had some awesome opportunities for performances, right? You had, where would you say have been the highlights for performances for you?
Oh, wow. Well, we played Casbah a couple years ago.
Okay. Where's that?
That is by the airport.
Okay.
In downtown San Diego.
Nice.
Sort of.
Never checked that out. I'm gonna have to do that.
That was my first time ever going there, was playing there.
Okay.
And I knew it was legendary, so I was honored that my friend asked me to open for them.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was about a year ago, actually.
Nice. Where else would you say?
We've played the Holding Company.
Mm-hmm.
We've played Winston's in Ocean Beach. We've played Kensington Club in San Diego.
Nice.
We've played what's another one? Oh, we played my release party for Future Ex-Boyfriend, my second to last single at Till 2 Club.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And there you're going to these venues and now you're performing just metal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Now
You ever been to the Music Box, San Diego?
Yes, I would love to play there. I've been there many times to see friends' bands.
Okay.
It's a really cool venue.
Yeah, it is. It's solid. Every time, like, I had, I wasn't too familiar with that venue until I had Matt Black, the electronic, like, metal band. Like, they have a very interesting style of music. But and so I checked them out and I was like, yo, that venue is nice. They got something nice going on over there. And then just all the various guests that they have on there is always so much fun for so many people. To any artists, like there's so many artists that we've had on the show that have been there and they're like, man, I love when I go to the Music Box, whether it's the Reckless or Isara or Music Box. All of them, they just rant and rave. Not Music Box, Matt Black, they'll rant and rave about Music Box. And, it's fun. I got to check out that spot. I know me as an audio engineer, I never forget when you have a solid performance or a space where you felt like, you know what, we did that. I never forget being at the San Diego Blues Fest down in Seaport Village, where and I was an audio engineer and my dad's band actually was the one that was up performing at that time. And who was it? The company that was handling all the sound was known as Spectrum Audio. And the guy, his name was John. Now, this was years ago, but I never forget them. The guy, his name was John, and he was like, hey, you're the engineer for them. You want to come over here? And I was like, sure. And so I went over there, and he was just like, because most of the time they'll let you just talk, and they were like, okay, we have everything set, and you kind of just tell them what you want, and that's kind of like, they kind of leave it. But he was like, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do. And he just basically gave me the control over the entire thing. And I'm going to tell you, and he was such a great engineer too. So when I said like, hey, bring this up or take the edge off of this, he knew exactly what he was doing. And so it made a world of a difference. That is still by far my favorite performance that I've ever like at least had the opportunity to I guess I would say co-engineer. Because I was working with them. And I was like, man, it changed the game for me. It gave me a whole new respect of that. Live performances are one of those things where, listening to things, that's one thing, but when you can go and feel the music live, it's a whole different thing.
Absolutely.
Right? You've been performing. How often do you perform live?
I'd say 1 to 2 times a month.
Okay, gotcha. How do you gear up for that? when like I said, when you're going into performing, it's a challenge sometimes, you always got to have the initial butterflies and you're like, all right, here we go. We're going to get this done. That comes with anything, especially anything you're doing new. Yeah. But what kind of mindset are you going into where you're like, all right, I found this style of music I want to do. I'm being true to myself in this. Now I got to be true to myself in this performance as well.
So I definitely feel sick before I perform every time.
Every time.
And that feeling, I don't think will ever go away, but I've just learned to accept it. And I get over it pretty quickly. I think once we're in like the second or third song.
Yeah. Then you're like, okay, now we're rolling.
Yeah. Then it feels a bit more comfortable. But up until that very moment, I'm just terrified. Like even so a day before, okay, we have a show tomorrow, 2 days before. Cool, we have a show in 2 days. But like right before, I'm just super nervous. I'm like shaking. And I just feel sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell my band. They laugh at me because I say this every time. I'll say, I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah. They're like, Yep, it's about time to hit stage.
Right. Show must go on.
Exactly, man. That's, yeah. I never forget my first time performing at the House of Blues in San Diego.
Wow.
And I was about to go out on the stage and, the band's going. And I was like, yo, before the curtain call and everything, I'm like, shoot, here we go. And my wife is funny because now, like, she always says, Antoine, she's like, I'm not like you. And I can't she's like, you're always like ready to jump in and do anything. Like to do that. You don't get nervous or you get scared about doing anything. I said, nah. See, what you don't understand is that most of the time I'm nervous about doing something. It's just whether or not I'm going to let the fact that I'm nervous stop me from doing it. And that's kind of like the difference that I find that a lot of people have is that part that allows you to overcome that and say, hey, show must go on.
Exactly.
You're never going to be where you want to be and reach your potential if the nerves and everything like that can take away opportunity from you.
Yeah.
You never want to let that go.
It's performance art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's
Fill
what music is. Exactly. The people, they came out to see you.
That's true.
What you want to give them a show.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about your upcoming projects. Now, word on the street is you just got yourself a new band going, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a little insight into that. I want you to give me the name of the band and please elaborate on the reason for the naming of that band.
We are called Rune Saber.
Okay. Rune Saber.
And Blizzard, please don't sue me. I got the name from a mount that I have in World of Warcraft. It's the best $25 I ever spent. It's a purple cat.
Okay.
Named the Mystic Rune Saber. And that name always stuck with me. I'm like, man, that's a pretty cool name or something. I don't know if I'll ever use it for anything, but it's a cool name.
I got you.
And so when I decided that I wanted to start a new project in which I could focus more on like the heavy metal stuff, like thrash and power metal, which is a little different than my solo stuff, I thought, what am I going to use? All the names I thought of were taken, as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. But then I thought, what about the little purple cat, the Rune Saber? That's not taken, is it? I looked it up and it was available. Yeah. At least I think so. I made the handle and I made the website basically like the moment I found that it was available. Because you never know. Band names get scooped up all the time. They do. Band names, podcast names, company names, all of it. People always think they have a bright idea. You're like, oh my gosh. And then you go and you look it up. You're like, wait, why does this already exist? I know, darn it. It's something nobody's been using for the past like 6 years. So they still own the domain to it. Drives me crazy. Yeah. So Rune Saber with, okay, you got your metal music. Now, you're big into fantasy, right? Yes. Okay. Does that affect or kind of bleed into any of your music at all? Yeah, absolutely. I'd say. Yeah? Yeah. Especially, do you make any like fantasy themed music? So for this project, I'm delving a bit more into that side of me that's more into, the fantastical side of literature. Okay. And like video games and comic books. Yeah. The art. I love it. I love when when artists, like musicians, are able to take a passion of theirs and kind of blend them together. I was on Instagram one day and randomly happened across this one creator. His name is Dizzy8. It's free shout out because I stream his music all the time. But I'm into anime. And so he was like, hey, hold on. Before you scroll, I make music inspired by anime. And so then he, I think at that time, what's that called? My Hero Academia was popping off, right? Mm-hmm. And the main character Deku, he was going crazy in there. Him and All Might and all of that. And they had reached this specific pinnacle arc in the show. And this guy comes on and he does a song based off of that, and I was blown away. I was like, first off, because I've heard people do music inspired by different things before. And I was like, that's kind of weak. But this guy, I was like, shoot, man. Basically, I'm sharing it around. I'm sending it to my cousin. I'm like, yo, check this out. Yeah. This guy, and now he's got more fans and everything like that. I absolutely love it. So tell me, do you have any fantasy stories that you like that really resonate with you? Yeah, I actually started writing a song a couple days ago. It's based on this character named Vivian from a book called Blood and Chocolate. They actually made a movie about it in 2007. It was a little different than the book. Yeah, I have this pipe dream that someone, not me because I don't have the skills, but someone will pick up that book and turn it into like a Netflix show or a movie or something that fits like the modern day. But basically, and I'm rereading it now because I want to like feel the character's emotions again as I finish writing this song. This girl falls in love with, she's a werewolf. She falls in love with a human and she's afraid to show him what she really is, not only because it'll basically betray her, not only because it'll betray her kind, but she fears that he might be afraid of her. So I'm trying to capture all these emotions and put that into this song. And I'm really excited about it because I love like werewolves and vampires too. So I feel like metal and fantasy go really hand in hand.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Now you say vampires and werewolves. We're not talking Twilight vampires and werewolves, right? We're staying away from sparkling vampires.
I'm talking about like Anne Rice vampires, like Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise vampires.
All right.
Not sparkling ones.
Not sparkling ones. My cousin won't watch he can't enjoy the what is it? The Batman with Robert Pattinson because he played as the sparkling vampire. What was his name? Edward something. Colin, something like that.
Something like that.
But I was like, he was like, every time I see him, I see sparkling vampire. And that is not Batman. I was like, come on, man. He did a solid, he did an okay job in that role. For me, that movie is more so about like the scenery and the sound design and the cinematography and everything on that. It's just on another level.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So you released the project Dynamite back in July. And then you have your new band. What's next for you?
So I'm writing more music for the new project, Rune Saber. And my plan is to release an album for that.
Nice.
And
so is that's obviously going to be the first album for this iteration of the band currently, right?
Exactly.
What albums do you have out currently?
So I just have 2 singles out right now that are pertinent. I have a couple old singles that are still on my Spotify. I don't have the heart to delete them because I feel like everything that you release kind of just documents who you were at that time. So I don't want to be in complete denial of who I was.
Right.
At least at that time. It was still a version of me, even though I was always like a metalhead underneath it all.
Yeah.
It's I think it's still important to show people that you can try things and maybe you don't like them and you change your mind.
Right.
So I think I have.
You don't have to put yourself in a box.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have I think technically I have 4 singles released, including the old Dynamite. Yeah, it's still on there. I'm really tempted to take it down, but I don't think I should.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't. Because I saw it, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a great kind of experiment on, the different phases of life. And it tells a story of you and I would say just the way that we approach different things and, how we evolve as human beings and get to know ourselves as we live life and how, sometimes you make some choices, which I didn't think that was a bad choice. It was a good song. It was a good song. It's still a good song, but it's just a matter of that doesn't resonate with who you are and the way you are right now.
Yeah, we go through phases, especially when we're young.
Exactly, man. So now your songwriting and everything that you're doing now is going into RuneScape, right?
Rune Saber, yeah.
Rune Saber. RuneScape is something completely different. I'm pretty sure that's a video game called RuneScape. My bad.
No, it's okay.
Rune Saber. That's awesome. So before we wrap up, I want to talk to you a little bit about your school.
Okay.
And I know that's kind of like a different side of you, different things like that. You're like a kaleidoscope where you have all these different angles and sides and everything to go off of. But give me a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit about your journey and how you came to start up the school. And what's the name of the school anyway?
It's called Spark Music and Arts.
Spark Music and Arts. Now, I'm going to tell you, I called you today and it said, thanks for calling Spark Music and Arts. And I was like, what in the world?
That's awesome. I forgot about that.
And then she was like, I was like, did she give me like her manager's phone number or what?
I am the manager. Do I have the wrong number?
Right, exactly. I was like, what in the world? Then I went back and I was like, I've called you before. It doesn't make any sense. But okay, so tell me a little bit about the school.
Yeah. So my background is in classical guitar.
Okay.
And I went to school for it. And a huge part of being a classical musician is passing it on to the next generation. Mm-hmm. So anyone that goes into classical music knows that's part of the job that you teach. So teaching was a skill I just cultivated over the years during and after college. And it was the main way I made money that pertained to my degree and that pertained to who I was. I taught in a bunch of different studios in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And then when I moved back to San Diego in 2019, I realized that there was no job that would pay me enough to make it worth my while in which I could do something that I really loved. So I made that job myself and then I worked there.
Yeah, I love it.
Thanks. But it was a long process.
Yeah.
But it was worth it.
I got you. That's the American dream right there.
Yeah.
Being able to take something and build it up yourself, find it. Nobody else can do it. I'm going to do it myself. So do you have, so you're a classically trained guitarist and you're, so at the school, do you have like age ranges that you focus on, like teaching kids, or are you just kind of open to teaching anybody?
We say we teach all ages, which is true, but most of our clientele, as you can imagine, is kids.
Okay.
So I teach a lot of, I'd say now between the ages of 7 and about 17, 18.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the bulk of our clientele.
Nice.
And we have some adults here and there.
Got you. You have some people be able to join your team to help you out?
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, I think including myself, there's about 9 of us now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you guys, I was going to ask you, like, are you teaching from your home or whatever like that? But you can't fit 9 people at your home to do that.
No. Yeah, we have a space in Solana Beach, actually.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's cool. Thanks. So do you have anything, actually, real quick, I'll ask you this. I always give any artist or creator an opportunity to give me a little bit of insight. You've gone through this musical journey. Now, we touched bases on the school. We touched bases on your musical journey from going from electro pop to metal and everything in between and all that stuff. Every career and every journey that we go through has hills and valleys and highs and lows that we go through. What would you say would be a high point in your musical career so far that you can look back and say, man, I'm proud that I made it through that, or I'm proud that I got to this point?
I'd say releasing this single, the new version of Dynamite, has been one of my proudest moments.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And what made that so proud for you?
So it was a lot of work to actually unravel that song. Mm. So when you start a new song, you get to pick everything, the melody, the harmony, the lyrics. We had to work our way backwards. So the song already had a harmonic structure in place and a melody and a theme. The rest was sort of fair game. But because that was already in place, we had to work our way around it, which made it a little more challenging. So the riffs that we were writing, it had to fit with the melody, and it had to fit with my vision. I knew I wanted a sort of like glam metal, heavy metal style.
Nice.
And it took a little longer than I thought, and it always does. But man, once we released it, we were so stoked.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, awesome. I love it. Now, if we go up to the high point, tell me about that low point in you. Do you ever have that moment where you're like, maybe I should just stick to guitar playing or teaching instead of going into the, performing and all that kind of stuff, or releasing music, or any part where, you describe that you get sick for performances and whatnot, and obviously that's always going to be a battle for yourself. But any low points in your musical journey?
Man, every now and then I'll have a gig usually an acoustic gig where it's not hitting.
Yeah.
I can't play super well. I can't sing super well. And I'll just get really down on myself. Like, darn, that was a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I'm probably being hard on myself, as we all are, but I really do feel that like I could have done so much better, but it just wasn't happening. It was out of my control. And those are probably the lowest points I've had where I thought, okay, I feel really down on myself, but I can't let that get to me. And I just have to keep going because failure is not an option.
Yeah, I love it. Neither is quitting.
Exactly.
You got to just push through. Okay. So with that being said, if you were to, let's say, if I were to bring in a up and coming artist that, you know, maybe struggling with some of those things that you would, or that you have struggled with in the past and kind of, but wants to overcome that, what kind of encouragement would you give up and coming artists?
I would tell them to just keep going. I know it sounds really cliche, but it's kind of like a fake it till you make it mentality. Just do it. I gotcha. Make the music, record it on your phone or something if you have to. Make a website, make an EPK, get some photos taken, put it all on there and just go from there. Start booking shows. Even if you've never played anywhere, you miss every shot you don't take, right? So just email venues, call places, go to open mics. That's a good way to meet people that might be interested in booking you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. I love the fact that you pointed out making an EPK. I had a conversation with a band the other day, and one of the bands had I had two bands, and I had a conversation with one of them. They had an EPK, one of them didn't. And and it's like, for me, so my parents own a record label and a recording studio. And so for me growing up as a kid, or as I got older, like I would always like to say, hey, can I help out? Can I do this or whatever like that? So I remember at one point they were sending, what's it called? Single sheets and all of that, to radio stations and all that. But this was like back before everything was fully digital, when you would try to get your song on radio and they'd have like basically a quick like bio about the artist and then the, like a radio copy of the CD or any projects like that, and you would send that to stations and everything to get airplay and all that stuff and try to get promoters and everything like that. And that gave me an insight on the importance of having that whole thing structured out, and the fact that so many artists don't utilize those things now. Really? And it's like, yeah, it's a weird thing where they just kind of like, they think, oh yeah, I have my Instagram page or their website, but when was the last time your website was updated and all that stuff? And so it's like, hey, those things are super, super, super important. During this whole process and launching Icon Presents, I've learned a lot of what creatives kind of lack when it comes to the marketing aspect of it and all of that stuff, that business owners, like with Icon Industries, we focused on business owners and helping business owners for years before we started to kind of give that attention to creatives as well. And it came from seeing a lack of that same thing. So it was just a shock for me to see the fact that hear the fact that you're like, hey, get your EPK going. Like, it is important. And I'm shocked. Like, yes, I agree 100%. Get that EPK, because when you talk to actual promoters and various ones, they actually like that. They're like, okay, great. This is where I can go see, what is it called? Like your latest projects, see any press or anything like that. You package that all together, and that just makes it so much easier for anybody. Yeah, it's like a portfolio. Exactly. So how can the people support you? By listening to my music.
Gotcha. And what's your Instagram handle?
It's at Shaynie Rhoads, SHAYNIE RHOADS.
Okay, got you. Yeah. Your Instagram, I said, like, I would have never known that you were a classical classical guitarist before, based off of your Instagram page, just based off of what it was showing there. But I was like, oh, dang. So when you came in today, you're like, yeah, I'm doing this thing acoustic. I was like, oh, shoot, here we go. Let's go. I love to see it. Like I said, all the different sides and everything. It's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit
Thank
more.
you.
Get
Likewise.
to see anything. No problem at all. Anytime you have anything that you want to promote, anything like that, we're going to enjoy watching your progress with everything.
Aw.
With Rune, Saber, I am interested to see what we do here. The fantasy element with metal and all that kind of stuff, man. It sounds like so much fun.
Oh, thanks.
No problem at all. Well, with that being said, thank you for joining me on another episode of Icon Presents. It's been truly, truly an honor to have you on the show, Shaynie. It's been so much fun. It's always a great time connecting with so many different creatives from art and various entertainment platforms. It's just an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity. So with that being said, be sure to check out iconpresentspodcast.com, where we post blog posts and creative projects and all kinds of updates and everything. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We thank you. We thank you for your time. Y'all take care.